Let me cover the control panel. This is your power indicator light. The key switch is part of your start circuit. It has to be to the on position for the motor to start, which we covered earlier in start procedure. This is your motor start button, motor stop, emergency stop, selector knob. This selector switch, well, if in that position, you can jog the machine using the buttons or the pedal, the foot pedals, up or down. The machine, the ram will not raise if the selector knob is in this position unless you hit the up pedal. If in this position, which is auto return, the ram will automatically return after it has reached a given dwell time that you have established in either single or auto run mode. This button is your CNC start, which you will use in single and auto run. It is not necessary in the manual mode. This is your CNC stop button, which will allow you, after you hit your stop, to make changes to your CNC. Now we're going to go through the single operation of the machine. You will go to machine, you will select single cycle. Now single cycle is used when you're going to be running a number of pieces that require one bend at a given angle and at a given x-axis or back gauge setting. What you will do is you will come to your angle, you will punch in your angle, the Y equal, you will not adjust. That is determined by the computer, your CNC computer. Always leave the auto calculate with a little check mark in there, and the computer will automatically adjust to whatever settings you put into the computer. Now, on your first piece, you'll want to use 0.0 on your correct angle. You will put the appropriate length, in which this case is 3 inches. You will select your material. Your material, you have steel, stainless steel, aluminum, and other. Other is for if you're doing brass, bronze, lead, whatever other form of metals you may be bending. You can put the tensile strength in there under settings as we went through earlier. In this case, we're using steel, so I will select steel, make sure that it turns a bright blue, hit OK. The thickness of metal, you won't have to, at this point, measure the thickness of the metal with calipers if you know the given gauge and what the given gauge should be. As long as the metal is not too far off, the computer will go to where it's supposed to be, get you where it's supposed to be. You can make your first bend, and at that point we will make a correction on the correct angle to compensate for the thickness and or tensile strength. You'll set your back gauge to wherever you will want it. In this case, I'm going to put 4 inches. The R-axis, which is an option on this machine, which may not be on yours, you can put it to where you want it to be. In this case, we'll use 0 because we're only going to be doing a single bend. You will select the appropriate punch, and you will select the appropriate die depending on the thickness of the metal that you're going to be bending. Your V opening of your die should be 8 times the thickness of the metal, up to 5/16 of an inch. Anything over 5/16 or higher should be 10 times the thickness of the metal. Your dwell time will be used if you want to have the ram return on its own after a given period of time. To accomplish that, you will turn your selector knob clockwise to the auto return position. Your dwell time may need to be changed by either increasing it or decreasing it to ensure the machine has the proper time to do the proper bend. If it's too little of time, the machine may not do a complete bend. If it's too much time, it'll just be wasting production time. So you'll need to change that accordingly. You will notice these are your set points. The Y equal is what the computer says it needs to be at. You manually will set your X axis where you want your back gauge to be, and in this case, the R axis where you would like it to be. On top, these numbers reflect where the machine actually is at. In this case, you are 1/1000th different from what the computer said is needed to do this bend. The machine will allow plus or minus 1/1000ths on a Y-axis. On the X-axis, you are allowed 0.01 or 1/10 of an inch plus or minus. On the R-axis, you are also allowed 0.01 or 1/10 of an inch plus or minus. Then the machine will run once those points, those set points have been met. What you will do at this time is you will start your pump. You will then have to push the CNC start button, and you will hear and see the numbers change, and you will hear your axes moving or see them moving to where they match. At that point, we are ready to make a bend.